Rabbi Gross.
Hey, Mike, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back. It feels like just, a few minutes ago that we were together talking about the tradition. The reason why we celebrate Passover for 7 days, but some people celebrate it for 8 days. But I got a quiz for you today.
Ooh, I love quizzes.
Yeah,
Put it on me.
This is a quiz that is going to help parents prepare for Passover.
Absolutely perfect.
A big central part of Passover is the Seder. And what does Seder mean?
Seder means order.
Exactly. And there's an order that we go through. And I'm going to quiz you on the parts. I'm going to say what they are in Hebrew, and you're going to tell us what they are.
I love quizzes.
English.
Bring it on, Mike.
Okay,
Bring it on.
Ready?
Okay.
First, Kadesh.
Kadesh is a blessing, the sanctification. And that is done with wine. It will have 4 cups of wine, but we'll do that another day.
What about Yakats?
Yakats is the washing of one's hands, which is done twice during the Seder. Do you wash your hands before you eat, Mike?
Every single time.
And it's important to wash your hands, particularly this year.
Absolutely. What about Karpas?
Karpas is when you dip the greens into the salt water.
And I've always found this one to be particularly meaningful because the salt water is meant to emulate the tears of our ancestors. And the schwitz?
The schwitz and the tears.
The schwitz and not the tears and the schwitz. That would be very weird. The tears and the schwitz. Well, anyway, okay, next. The Yakats. What is this?
Yakats is when you break the matzah and hide one piece away for the afikomen.
Ooh, one of my favorite parts.
That's a favorite of all kids.
Now, what is Magid?
Magid is the central part of the Seder. It's the most important part, and you can do it in so many different ways. It means the telling of the Passover story.
And I want to say that this is an interesting part for my family. We've done it lots of different ways. Some ways it's just a telling of the story, but oftentimes there's props involved.
We love props.
We do love props. What about Rachza, excuse me.
Rachza is the second washing of one's hands. So in the first one, who knows what that was for? In fact, there's not even a blessing for that first washing, believe it or not. I believe that this year, in the year of COVID, we bless each other when we wash our hands. The second one is in preparation for the Seder meal.
Exactly. Now, this next one lets you know that things are about to get good. The motzi.
Motzi. We all know motzi. Most of the time we say it over bread. It's the blessing over bread before we enjoy a meal.
Yeah.
This motzi is in particularly an interesting one because it's motzi matzah, which is the blessing of the matzah.
We call this one the start your engines blessing in our house because that means it's almost eating time.
Yes.
And then the matzah. We just said we bless the matzah, motzi matzah. And then what is maror?
Maror happens to be my favorite item on the Seder plate.
Really?
Yes. Maybe it's because I'm curmudgeonly at times, but it's the bitter herbs. I love the bitter herbs because it opens my sinuses during hay season.
Very important to tackle your allergies during the Seder.
It's Jewish.
It's Jewish. What about korech?
Korech. This is, you got me stumped here this is the Hillel sandwich.
Well done. You are batting 1,000 in this quiz.
You know what I love about the Hillel sandwich?
What do you love about the Hillel sandwich?
First of all, it doesn't demand a blessing before it.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that, right? Saves a little time. The second is, after that intensity of the bitter herb, mixing it with a little bit of the sweet charoset, the chopped up apples and nuts and honey, and I love that. It's a perfect match of the sweet and the bitter.
Bon appetit, almost. What about, actually it is time for bon appetit.
Time for dinner.
Shulchan Orech, what is that?
Shulchan Orech is our dinner time, and you can enjoy that dinner in any way you want. We like to recline when we eat.
Recline? Why on this night do we recline? We'll get there.
We will.
We'll get there. What is Safun, Rabbi Gross?
Safun is the favorite time for all of our children because you cannot technically finish that Seder meal without dessert. And what is dessert on a Seder? Matzah.
The afikomen.
The afikomen in particular. So Safun is the finding of the afikomen by our children.
Rabbi Gross, I don't mean to bring up any painful childhood memories, but did you ever find the afikomen?
Interesting you should ask this question, because in my family, there's two traditions that are discussed in the Talmud. One is that the parent hides the afikomen. The more common in Eastern Europe, where my family was from, the child, and this is such an awful thing, steals the afikomen, hides it, and holds it for ransom.
Oh, I like that.
So I never found it because my dad had to find it to complete the Seder.
Interesting. And then Barech.
Barech is the blessing after the meal.
Beautiful. Hallel.
Hallel. Singing some songs to get everybody together at the end of our Seder. But the songs are songs of praise to God. And the most important, I think, in this chapter of our Seder is the Elijah's cup. And Elijah is the prophet who says all is going to be good.
And then what is Nirtzah?
Nirtzah is the conclusion of the Seder itself. And we just, at the very end, say, next year in Jerusalem. Now, I just want to share something. When the rabbis of old were writing the Seder or the Haggadah, they were living outside of Israel. And so when they would say next year in Jerusalem, it wasn't like us saying next year in Jerusalem where we could just simply go back. It was the hope that God would bring peace and harmony to the world so we could return to our homeland.
Beautiful. Now that might seem like a lot. Lots and lots and lots of parts to make your Seder complete. But I'll share that in my family, we have 3 little kids. And we can't go through all of this stuff in a really detailed and nuanced way. So we just make it modified so that it works for our family. A lot of the Magi, the story is done through song. We go really, really quickly. And that's okay. I think the important part, Rabbi Gross, is to have a Seder.
It is.
If you don't get to all these parts, it's okay.
It's okay. Just get together as a family and remember the story of our exodus from Egypt and the importance of that message today. Until all are free, none are free.
See you tomorrow.